Welcome everyone, episode 5 of Bali Talk. We search the internet every week trying to find discussions, tips, tricks which are going to help you on your trip to Bali. So what have we managed to find this week? First one. The question that's been asked, give me one thing you would never do in Bali again. And let's have a look at what people are saying. So first comment's ride an elephant. There's been a little bit of talk in some of the groups about the elephant parks in Bali, and there was a great big article that was posted, which I'm not going to go through because it was huge, talking about some of the so-called sanctuaries in Bali. Generally, the discussion is that they're not really sanctuaries and the animals aren't treated that well, and we probably shouldn't be going there. I can't comment on that. Not sure that we'll be heading to any of them on our next trip. I know my wife definitely wants to, I think it's called Chiang Mai in Thailand, an actual sanctuary where you're not allowed to touch the elephants. She really wants to go there, so that's on the travel bucket list. Not sure when we'll get there, but hopefully soon. The next comment, visit a luwak coffee place or buy it. I think I've mentioned in a previous episode, we did go to one of the luwak coffee places. I think they only had one luwak there, and yeah, it was caged up in a pretty small cage, and didn't look overly happy. So, but the coffee itself, I'm not a black coffee fan, and that's how the coffee was served to us. No one pre-warned me that they leave the coffee grounds in the bottom of the cup. So I went to finish the coffee off as we were leaving and just got a mouthful of coffee grounds, which was, pretty horrible. Tasted like having sand in your mouth. The next one, snorkeling at Penida. Apparently there was no safety, no head counts, and the person's commented they're amazed that no one drowned the day that they went. I've heard that a little bit about some of the boat trips. I'm sure there are some that are better than others. So if you've been on a really good one, which follows some safety regulations, doing head counts, that sort of stuff, not, minimising how many people are on the boat, that sort of thing. They've got life jackets, all that. Put it in the company name in the comments so that we can all, if something that somebody wants to do, we know which company we can go with and are going to follow at least some safety precautions. Now, another thing, this comes up quite a bit. They would never fart again. Rafting with stairs. I have seen some comments. I haven't done rafting. I don't know if it's something that we would do, but I have heard that there's one in particular. Of course, no one ever names these things, but apparently there's one where it's quite a significant stair climb to get to the launch point, which a lot of people find difficult to do. I know I probably would. Don't think my knees would like it. Next person obviously loves Bali, says get on the plane that takes me away from there. Drive through Canggu. This person would make sure they do not have a banana in their hand at the monkey forest. Yeah, another one's brought up the stairs and the rafting. Apparently there's stairs all the way down to the river, and then once you're finished, the stairs back up. Next one, getting on the back of a Gojek scooter without checking the license plate to see if I have the scooter I ordered. Now that is something that you need to be careful of. Again, I think we might have spoken about this before. I didn't notice it the first few times we were there, but the last time we were in Bali, I noticed that some of your tourist type shops actually selling Gojek jackets and helmets and things like that. And apparently it is a bit of an issue that people are posing as Gojek drivers, and unfortunately there's been a few reports of people getting on these fake Gojeks and getting taken to places they don't necessarily want to go to and getting robbed. So whatever transport you use, you know, private drivers are pretty safe. If you're using the taxis, download one of the apps. You know, make sure you actually get in the car that you've ordered or on the bike that you've ordered. It will show you that in the app. It works the same way as Uber does in Australia. So whether it's My Bluebird or the Grab app or the Gojek app, you know, when you book a ride, it will actually show you the driver accepts it, and it will come up in the app with their name and their license plate number. In the case of My Bluebird, which is the only one I've used, it will actually come up with the taxi number, so you can keep an eye out for the license plate and the number that's on the side of the taxi and make sure you're getting in the right one. So definitely do that to keep yourself safe. Another person says here they wouldn't put their feet in the fish bar. I can't remember why, but our personal driver recommended that you don't do that either. So if a local's recommending you don't do it, it's probably a good sign. Next person, drive anywhere in Bali unless you have lots of time on your hands. Midget boxing. Can't say that's something that I'm interested in, and particularly not something we would take the kids to. Next one, snorkel in Lembongan. The boat got caught on the reef. They reversed off of it, but left 3 people behind, and this person was one of them. So herself and 2 other girls were panicking, crying, terrified. The boat eventually came back 20 minutes later to rescue them. So not a good advertisement for the snorkeling trips. Doing that with the manta rays was something I'm definitely interested in, but the more I'm reading about some of these trips, it sort of makes you wonder whether you're putting your life in your own hands. Luwak Coffee comes up again, wearing a bintang singlet. I think a lot of people perceive that, you know, you're wandering around with a bintang singlet on. I think you might be perceived as a bogan. Riding a scooter or motorbike, driving a motorbike without a t-shirt, getting on the back of a scooter after too many bintangs, Turtle Island, Monkey Forest. A lot of people don't name things because Indonesian laws are a little bit different from ours. So, you know, even though what you might be saying is absolutely 100% accurate, their defamation laws work a little bit differently. They look at it as if it doesn't matter whether it's accurate or not. They look at it from the point of view as, has that comment caused any harm to the business or person? So I think that's part of the reason why people are a bit reluctant to name and shame. Yeah, a lot of scooters, a lot about drinking, whitewater rafting, quad biking, all that sort of thing. I know the quad bike riding that we did when just my wife and I went to Bali, I probably wouldn't do again. I don't name the company because I can't remember it, but it was one that just basically went through a creek bed, had a bit of a track through the creek bed and then up the sides of the embankments through some man-made caves and things, but it was really, really difficult. You know, you couldn't see the bottom of the creek, so you had no idea what you were riding over, and it was really rough. So it wasn't like it was a smooth track, that I think very rocky, so it couldn't really get up any speed and just bouncing around everywhere. I think I actually stacked it because I hit a rock on the bottom of the creek bed and it sort of sent me into the embankment and tipped the bike over. Luckily I managed to get out of the way. All right, we'll leave it at that. There's a lot of things. Now, we mentioned before about Gojek. They're a post was put up by a company in Bali, and basically it seems like Balinese authorities are starting to crack down on the illegal riders. So there's been some videos and all that sort of thing posted where in tourist areas the officials are checking the licensing of the bikes and things, you know, the drivers wearing the Grab and Gojek uniforms, and anyone being caught with the fake stuff, it's being confiscated off of them. So hopefully they keep that up, because yeah, like I said, there has been a lot of reports of theft and harassment by these fake Gojek drivers. So it's good to hear that there is some steps being taken to address that. So here's another one that comes up all the time. It asks that what's the best month to go to Bali. We've been a few different times of the year. We've been in wet season, so February we went. Yes, there was a fair bit of rain around, but most days it was either first thing in the morning or it rained overnight. I think the first day we were there, got a huge downpour on the Saturday afternoon, quite late in the afternoon, but it was a massive downpour. On the Sunday we were there, the next day we were at Waterbomb. I think we got maybe about 20 minutes of rain again in the late afternoon. Otherwise the day was great. And then Monday there was a fair bit of rain around, and then the rest of the week we didn't see much rain at all, so it was actually pretty good for wet season. We've been in August, hardly saw any rain. I think maybe one or two nights during the night it might have rained a little bit, but during the day it was fine. Now the common thing is they reckon the best time, most people are saying the best time is sort of, you know, maybe May through to mid to late September. The only thing I would say to that is if you can, try and avoid the Australian school holidays. Very, very, very busy, a lot busier than normal, and you will pay a premium for going at that time. So, you know, try and avoid Australian school holidays if you can. Again, it comes up about carrying your passport with you. I think we might have covered that last time, so I won't go over it again, but just recommend that, you know, they don't really want to take the originals around with you, so maybe have copies, you know, photographs on your phone, or have photocopies in the bag that you take around with you. Even if you do get stopped and they do insist on seeing the original, I think you've got about 24 hours to produce it at the local police station. So, but from what I've heard, if you've got a photograph on your phone or got photocopies of them, they generally accept that as being okay. Now another post here talking about, well, it doesn't really go into detail about whether this was a fake Gojek or whether this was just it sounds like it might have just been, and we've talked about it before, a drive-by snatch. So what the person's reporting is he basically says, I was the victim of a violent robbery. A thief on a motorcycle suddenly snatched his 18-carat gold chain and injured his neck. Obviously he's reported it to the police and so forth, hopes the police will follow up on it. But yeah, he's posted a photo of some significant bruising, a little bit maybe cut around the neck. So I'm pretty sure we've covered that before. And look, this isn't just a issue that's specific to Bali. It can happen all over the world. for God's sake, if you're traveling overseas, you've got expensive jewelry, things like that, watches, necklaces, whatever it might be, leave them at home, especially if it's sentimental. Paris, London, lots of reports out of those places about pickpocketing and opportunistic threats, tourists being targeted. So leave it at home, please. Now, next one we'll just cover quickly. The person talks about that their husband suffers with IBS, and they're just asking how are the toilet facilities in Bali outside of hotels. General consensus is, things like shopping centres, high-end restaurants, your hotels, they're all going to have good facilities. Public toilets, hit and miss. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I needed to go to one when we were there last year before I had surgery, which means I wasn't suffering the same thing, but was in a position where really needed, couldn't be too far from a toilet. So I think it's called Pantai Pandawan, I think it is, where they've carved the road through the cliffs, and it's a popular Instagram photo spot. Yeah, the toilets down there, not flash. Water was probably that deep right throughout the floor. But the one thing, what I wanted to get to, the one thing is public toilets, you will probably need to pay a fee to use them. So keep some like $2,000 or $5,000 notes on you, because you'll need to give that to the person who looks after the toilets to be able to use them. So that must be their job. So whatever money they get from people using the toilets is their income, and they keep the toilets clean, if you want to call it that. So yeah, you'll mainly find them where public toilets or accessible toilets where tourists are common, so all your tourist spots. So a lot of the beaches, you'll find them, but yeah, don't expect them to be to a Western standard. Now, another quick one. Someone has posted asking about the red cordial bottles that you might see around the place. I don't remember seeing any, but I really wasn't paying attention. Now, yeah, they're asking that they've noticed over the last few days that they've seen lots of bottles filled with what looks like red cordial, especially around the Kuta area. Apparently they asked the locals, and that was to stop dogs pooping in the area. So they're just basically asking, can anyone shed some light on this? Now, basically the posts are saying, yeah, it's an urban legend. It really doesn't do anything. Apparently it's common in a lot of Asian countries that they believe if they put, wherever they don't want dogs pooping, put some plastic bottles with some sort of liquid in them. Yeah, according to this, it really doesn't work. So if you see those red bottles around, that's what it's for. They're trying to stop dogs from pooping in the area, but there's actually no evidence to back that up. Now, next person is asking, what's the best mozzie spray for 5-year-olds that actually works? And for adults as well. So, we've covered this before. If you do some Google searching, apparently all the scientific evidence suggests that as long as you're using for tropical areas, as long as you're using a product which has, I think it's about 20-something% DEET or equivalent ingredients, you need to use something a little bit stronger. So we always use Bushman's. Have tried the Sofil that you can buy over there. It's very, very cheap. A lot nicer on the skin, smells nicer. But yeah, we just tend to use Bushman's, and plus the little Mozzie stickers. I think they're from a company called Mozzie Gear. have a look on Amazon, because you can get a bulk pack of them a bit cheaper than you might at some of the supermarkets and things in Australia. Yeah, of course, you'll always get lots of people recommending Softgel, which does work, as I said, but it has a lower DEET rating, about 12%, I think. All that means is you just have to be a lot more vigilant, applying that a lot more often than you might, say, a Bushman's, which, well, you can buy that in various ratings, 20, 40, and up to 80. So if you use the Bushman's, which has 80, you know, you might only have to apply that every few hours. So where you use the Softgel, you might have to be using that, you know, every hour or two, you might have to be reapplying. Next question. Things to do in Bali for somebody who's already been 5 times and they're out of ideas. So let's see what some of the attractions people are recommending. So first one is to recommending the Jimbaran seafood market. Head to the other undercover seafood market, not the one on the beach. Purchase whatever you like, take it to the warong and have them prepare you for it. They provide sauces, and apparently it's only like 20 to 30,000 rupiah per kilo. So definitely a lot cheaper than the restaurant we went to in Jimbaran. Next suggestion, try snorkeling, try freediving. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Try spearfishing. Yeah, I don't know if I'd do that either. Blend with the locals for an authentic experience. Yeah, next person recommends just relax, swim, massages, meander, great food and cocktails. Next one, they're saying the biggest Garuda statue. I presume they're talking about the GWK Centre. You'll pretty much be able to see that over most of the, wherever you are in the south, you can pretty much see that standing over the skyline. Bali Garden, haven't been there, so I don't know. Trans Studio, yeah, because we didn't go in school holidays, we were lucky. Everything was open. Most of the rides, pretty much no lineup. I think when we went up to the roller coaster, there was actually no lineup at all. So yeah, pretty much had the roller coaster to ourselves, really. The Uluwatu night dance. We did go to the temple, but we didn't stay for the, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Kikak dance. What else do they recommend? The night safari dinner tour. Yeah, I've heard mixed reports about that one. But next person suggests spas, you know, massages, hair washes, foot massage, pedicures, manicures. Let's see, snorkeling in Ahmed, the Mount Batur hike. I've heard getting up there, regardless of how you do it, can be quite interesting. But once you're up there, apparently it's pretty spectacular, the sunset from on top of the mountain. They also recommend Lavina, but they don't say why. Another one recommending just relax, massages, eat great food, lie by the pool, bintangs, that sort of thing. Recommendation for ring making. One person's recommending, well, just look on Klook. There's lots of activities on there, which is true. If you have a look on Klook and just have a look through the attractions for Bali, there's a lot of things, different things you can do. But yeah, the majority seems to be talking about food and just relaxation, things like that. Here's a different one, abandoned amusement park in Sanur. So yeah, if you like urban exploring, apparently that's pretty good, inexpensive. The bird and reptile parks, Bali Hidden Mini Zoo, haven't been there. Next time we go, I think it's the Bali Marine Park that don't think we're going to have a choice but to go to. There's been some Instagram videos pop up about they have capybaras, and our youngest is obsessed with capybaras. So unfortunately she has seen that, and I don't think we're going to have a choice, but we're going to have to go there. So we'll let you know when we do, and we'll post a video on what it's like, if they let us, of course. Another recommendation is to go to Tanner Lot. Go to one of the coffee plantations or go to Waterbomb. We enjoyed Waterbomb. It was good fun. If you've been to the Gold Coast, it's pretty similar to Wet n Wild. So yeah, good fun for a day. Yeah, this one's pretty comprehensive. Some of the recommendations are recommending Water Palace, Water Garden, Tanner Lot, Butterfly Park, the Botanic Gardens, Garuda Statue Park, which I presume again they're talking about the GWK. Temples, villages, again temples, caves, and Mount Batur, and this could go on forever. So yeah, my suggestion would be is if you're trying to plan your holidays, you don't necessarily have to book or use the service, but have a look on Klook and just look through all the activities that they've got on there. If you can't find stuff to do from Klook, then I mean really you probably may as well not go. But next one is asking, and I think we might have already covered this. They're asking for opinions on the sacred monkey forest. So some of the comments. First person says that there's a few things happened during our time there, but they were all it was basically the tourists' fault. Apparently there's some rules posted outside. Apparently no bottles or food packs. Do not wear glasses on your face or leave them on top of your head. Do not look them in the eye. Apparently that's a sign of a challenge in the monkey world, and they will take you up on it. Do not grab or pet the monkeys, even if they jump on you. Keep your bag in front of you, as well as wallets and things like that hidden deep inside the bag or your pockets. Apparently they're very quick at jumping on your bag and rummaging through it, and something will be missing before you even realise it. Watch where you step. Apparently there's a lot of tourists who just walking around completely oblivious, stepping on tails, and as most animals would probably do, if they get their tails stepped on, monkeys defend themselves or lash out. Apparently if something does happen, do not scream or panic, as it will attract more monkeys. There are groundskeepers with sticks. Apparently the monkeys will know them and will try and avoid them. Apparently the monkeys do not dare to challenge the men with sticks. So yeah, and the next person recommends going to, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but Sangeh, it's spelled, you can look it up on the internet, spelled Sangeh, monkey forest. Apparently that's not so full on, and the monkeys are a lot more well behaved. So might be worth, if you really want to see monkeys, might be worth having a look at that one. But yeah, very, very mixed reports about the sacred monkey forest in Ubud. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think we'll be going there. I think we'll probably go to the other one. Last comment here. This person has said, take it from someone who's been bitten. It's a beautiful place, but please don't take your children. Apparently it took this person 9 months to get over being sick. They had an infection from a monkey that was sick. So they don't really talk about what the interaction with the monkey was, whether it was just being close, whether they got, they do. They said they got bitten. Boof. So yeah, I've just heard, for all the people that says, no problem, there's probably 3 or 4 that, will say they've got bitten, or, something's gone wrong, something got stolen, they got attacked, that sort of thing. So up to you whether you want to try it or not. I don't think we will be. Next one, families might be interested in, but someone's just asking what the understanding is if you're hiring a nanny. A nanny's actually posted on here. So what they suggest is that obviously on top of the agreed rate that you've, for the day or for however many hours that you're using their service, you will also have to cover any costs, meals and activities, and transport fees as well. So apparently you don't have to seek permission from the hotel. You just need to meet the nanny in the lobby and they will provide ID at the hotel's security point. So most hotels will have a security point somewhere. The last one we stayed at basically had almost like the military style sort of swing gate at the front with the little office there. And yeah, no one was allowed through there without them questioning them. So that's probably, a bit of security in a way. That was the Dewey Shri Hotel. I think it's rated 2.5, 3 stars, but we actually liked it there. So maybe something for you to check out if you want to. It's quite inexpensive, particularly again outside of school holidays. As per normal, as per what happens in Australia, as soon as it's school holidays, the prices skyrocket upwards. So now next one is, again, it's a tip for traveling, no matter where you travel to. Now, I don't know why this person did this, but they put a warning up here, basically warning anyone flying domestically out of Bali to Lombok. Apparently one of their friends was travelling and put 2,000 Australian dollars cash in his suitcase. When they landed in Lombok, they found out that it had been stolen. Reported it to the airline, who started an investigation, but apparently the airport has no CCTV coverage on the tarmac. So, don't know that they should have done this, but apparently they're claiming the airline or airport has advised them that there are multiple investigations at the moment for cash being stolen from suitcases. So yeah, they've put it up basically as a warning. Now, I can tell you straight away, most of the comments are suggesting like, why would you put cash in your checked-in luggage? And I would say exactly the same thing. And I'd also say, why the hell are you carrying that much cash on you? You do not need to. Bali might not be as modernised as Australia or America or Canada or UK, but there are banks, there are ATMs everywhere that you can get money out of. You do not need to be carrying huge amounts of cash with you. Someone raises a point though, which might be an issue, and so again, it's a good point to raise, because you should, when you're taking out travel insurance, you should always read through and double check what you're covered for and what you're not covered for, and basically to stay safe, make sure you're not doing the things that you're not covered for. So this person has suggested that travel insurance probably won't pay out on this issue because unattended cash is usually excluded in your policy. So I can't verify that, but I would not be surprised if that is the case. And pretty much everyone's saying the same thing. Why would you put cash or anything extremely valuable into your checked luggage? And last one for today. What's your unspoken rule that every first timer should know? I think we might have covered similar things before, but let's have a look and see if there's some interesting things or things mentioned that we haven't come across before. So again, the don't tell them it's your first time comes up. This person, I presume, is referring to bargaining in the shops. It just says pay whatever price you're happy with. Someone in the pool will always tell you what they paid half of whatever you paid. And that's probably going to be the case. My suggestion when it comes to bargaining, if you want to give it a go, is to know your prices. Like if it's a, pair of Nike TN knockoffs, know what originals are worth, but not just at your retail stores. Check, what are they worth at the outlet stores? If you could pick up a pair of brand new Nike TNs at one of the outlet stores for, I don't know, let's say $120, you definitely wouldn't want to be paying any more than that for copies, even if they're really good ones. So yeah, know your pricing. Whatever, they're going to quote you some stupid prices if you walk into one of these shops. They're going to try it on. They're trying to make money. They will probably, what are some of the prices I got quoted? Like $1 million, $1 million rupiah for a pair of shoes. So it's basically $100. But in this case, I knew, what he was asking for a million. I knew most other places were somewhere between 500,000 to 700,000. So I was able to just get him down without even trying. But generally, start at about 1/3 of what they first say, and then just work your way up from there, up to the point that you're happy with. Once you've got to that point, let's say in this case it's 600,000 rupiah, if they're not prepared to meet you, just walk away. One or two things will happen. They'll either chase you down or call you back agreeing to that price, or you'll find someone else that's willing to match that price. So, don't stress. There literally are, Kuda, Leggy and Seminyak, there's hundreds and hundreds of shops selling pretty much exactly the same stuff. So you're not going to miss out. You'll find that item somewhere else. Even t-shirts, ridiculous prices I was being quoted. But in this particular case, the guy wouldn't even budge, so we just walked out, and he didn't chase us. So, but 500,000 rupiah, so $50 Australian for knockoff t-shirts, and he would not budge from that price. So, yep, just walk away. Why would you pay $50 for a t-shirt? You can get in Kmart or Target. Might not be exactly the same thing, but we all know Kmart and Target sell like band t-shirts and some movie t-shirts and things like that, which are officially licensed for anywhere between about $15 to $25. So why would we want to pay more than that? It'd have to be something pretty unusual if you're willing to pay that sort of price for it. So we've covered this before. When eating, choosing a place to eat, go where it's busy. That's always a good sign. Don't drink the tap water or brush your teeth with it. Sanitize after touching money or pretty much anything. Wear a helmet on the bikes. This person's suggesting, and look, it actually probably is a giveaway to some of the shops and tour operators and things like that. It's basically saying to wear fake tans so you don't look new. So, you get off the plane, you're lily white from being in, Australia's winter. It's probably a dead giveaway that you've just got off the plane, and they probably will try it on with you. Yeah, and I don't think, we don't need to cover that anymore. So that's it for today. Hopefully we've been able to find some things which will help you stay safe on your travels in Bali and get the most out of them and enjoy. Hopefully we'll see you in the next video. That's it for today. See you next week.